My name's Eva Carter, I'm 27, and I've been obsessed with classic cars since I was 7. My entire life has been about chasing that perfect connection between machine and soul. I worked myself half to death, 70-hour weeks for 5 years, to finally buy my ultimate prize, a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro SS in blazing rally red. The day I brought her home, I whispered to myself, "We did it, Grandpa." Tears blurred my vision, but the roar of the engine drowned everything else. This wasn't just a car. It was my history, my blood, my legacy. See, my late grandpa taught me how to hold a wrench before I could even ride a bike. While other kids watched cartoons, I was in his garage learning how to rebuild carburetors. He used to tell me, "Cars have souls, Eva. They'll never betray you if you treat them right." He was right. The Camaro never betrayed me. But the people I trusted most, they did. When I got back from a business trip, suitcase in hand, I asked my mom, "Where's my car?" She didn't even blink. She smirked and said, "Thanks to your car, your sister's having the time of her life." I actually laughed, thought she was joking. But she wasn't. What do you mean?" I stammered. "She deserved it," Mom said coldly. "Your sister never gets anything special, and now she finally does." That's when it hit me. My Camaro was gone. Let me rewind, because you need to understand the pattern. My sister, Chloe, has always been the golden child. Dance lessons, designer clothes, new car for her 18th birthday. Me. Hand-me-downs, lectures about being practical. I wasn't jealous. Not at first. I just thought if I worked hard enough, someday I'd get my turn. But favoritism doesn't fade. It grows like rust under paint. The day I bought the Camaro was my rebellion against all of that. My proof that I didn't need handouts or their approval. Just grit. And then came Lucas Hayes. We met at a car show. Him with his shiny Corvette Stingray replica. Me with the real deal. He was one of the first people who understood why I'd rather spend my Saturdays under a hood than at a mall. For 2 years, Lucas and I built a life together. My Camaro wasn't just a car anymore. It was our sanctuary. Until one phone call changed everything. It was my boss, Victoria Dawson. She called me into her office. "Eva, how's your Japanese?" "Rusty but decent," I replied, confused. "Good. I need you in Tokyo. You'll lead our expansion pitch. 3 weeks away. You leave Friday." It was the opportunity of a lifetime. But my mind went straight to one thing, the Camaro. Break-ins had been rising near my apartment. Leaving her there. Out of the question. So I made what felt like a safe choice. I drove her to my parents' quiet suburban home in Oak Ridge. They had a big garage, low crime, steady neighborhood. Despite all the tension between us, I believed they'd keep her safe. I couldn't have been more wrong. When I came back from Tokyo, exhausted but buzzing with success, I pulled into their driveway and froze. The garage was open. I dropped my bags on the pavement and stormed inside. "Where's my car?" I demanded. My mom, Diana, didn't flinch. She crossed her arms and said, "We sold it." Chloe needed a break. She's on a Mediterranean cruise right now. I swear my ears rang like I'd been slapped. You what?" Dad, Mark, finally looked up from his paper. "Don't be dramatic, Eva. It's just a car." Well, it was 5 years of my blood, sweat, and tears. It was my grandpa's legacy. And they sold it like it was a used blender at a garage sale. My voice cracked. "You had no right." Mom's lip curled. "We're your parents. Everything you have because of us." That was the moment something in me snapped. I realized they didn't just betray me. They erased me. And I was going to make them pay. I stood in the garage, hands trembling, staring at nothing but Dad's old sedan and Mom's SUV. The air felt thick, heavy with betrayal. "Thanks to your car," Diana said, smirking slightly. "Chloe's living her dream." I laughed. Sharp, bitter, hollow. "You sold my 1969 Camaro SS?" Mark's face paled. "Well, technically. Bark. Do you even hear yourselves? I pulled out my phone and texted Lucas Hayes. 10 minutes away. My hands were shaking so badly I thought I might drop it. Lucas was calm as ever when he pulled up in his 2004 Corvette Stingray replica. His car gleamed perfect and untouched. "Where's the Camaro?" he asked, tilting his head. I looked at my parents, fury burning in my chest. "They sold it. Chloe's on a cruise because of them." Lucas crossed his arms. He scanned the garage then froze. "Wait a second. It wasn't my replica, was it?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" He smirked, the kind of smirk that makes you suddenly realize you've underestimated someone. "I swapped the cars the day after you left. Your Camaro's been in my climate-controlled garage for 3 weeks. They sold mine." Time stopped. Mom's face drained of color. Dad's jaw went slack. I laughed, sharp, unhinged, disbelief ringing in every note. "You didn't just steal from me. You committed fraud. Grand theft over $20,000, Lucas added matter-of-fact. Class 1 felony. Wire fraud if the payment was electronic. 15 years each. The silence was deafening. My parents floundered, their excuses evaporating under the reality of their actions. "I trusted him to protect my car," I said slowly, my voice icy. "Because deep down, I knew my own family couldn't be trusted. And you just proved me right." Then my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Eva Carter?" a man asked. "Yes, who's calling?" "This is Peter Donovan. I recently bought a 1965 Stingray replica from your parents. On your behalf. There's an issue with the title." I glanced at my parents. Fear painted their faces. I could have exposed them immediately, let them burn in their own mistakes. But I needed control. "Mr. Donovan," I said carefully, "there's been a misunderstanding. Can I call you back within the hour?" He agreed and I hung up. "That was your buyer," I said, turning to Diana and Mark. "The title doesn't match, probably because the car is registered to Lucas, not me." Mom's mascara streaked down her cheeks. "Please, Eva, help us. We never meant." "Except you did," I cut in sharply. Mark muttered. "Family helps family." "Then help Lucas," I shot back. Lucas and I spent the next hour combing through the forged paperwork. Fake bill of sale, wrong VIN, my forged signature. Every page screamed fraud. "This is criminal," Lucas said flatly. "You could go to prison for this." Sob. "We didn't know, we just wanted to help Chloe." "Congratulations," I said coldly. "You committed felonies to fund a Mediterranean vacation." I called Lucas's lawyer friend, Alicia Ramirez. By 2 p.m. we were in her sleek downtown office. "So, let me get this straight," Alicia said, scanning the folder. "Your parents sold a car they didn't own, forged documents, and pocketed $30,000? "Yes," I said flatly. She leaned back. "Minimum charges carry up to 15 years. Grand theft, wire fraud, the works." Even Lucas looked shaken. We decided to avoid prison but demand full accountability. Options laid out. 1. Press criminal charges. 2. Civil lawsuit. 3. Private settlement with notarized apology and full repayment. We chose option 3. But it wouldn't just be about money. It would be about teaching them a lesson. First we faced the buyer. Peter Donovan was furious. "I bought a stolen car," he snapped. Lucas stayed calm. "We'll make it right. Full refund plus $5,000 for your trouble. But we need the Stingray back." After tense negotiation, Peter agreed. If $55,000 hit his account before he released the car. Now we just had to make Mom and Dad cough up the money. $55,000. Diana gasped when I told them. "You could take out a home equity loan," I said. "We don't have that much equity," Mark protested. Lucas interjected. "Then maybe Chloe should contribute. She benefited from the theft." Mom's eyes went wide. "She's just starting her career. Then she shouldn't be taking Mediterranean cruises on stolen money," I said coldly. 2 days later, the payment plan was finalized. Parents $40,000 via home equity loan. Chloe, $10,000 from savings. Mom's jewelry. $5,000. Plus a notarized apology letter promising never to touch our property again. They hated it, but it was better than prison. The family meeting to seal the deal cracked everything open. Chloe whined. Why am I being punished? I didn't sell the car. No, I said. But you manipulated them into funding your luxury trip. You're 24. Start acting like it. Then she hit me with a bombshell. You've always been jealous because Mom and Dad love me more. Even Mom and Dad froze. Mark spoke slowly. Eva's right. We thought we were protecting you both, but we've just kept you from standing on your own. That night was raw. Tears, confessions, painful truths. Within a week, the money was paid, the Stingray returned, and the apology letter signed. Lucas and I drove away with his car following behind us, relief washing over both of us. The month after the Stingray fiasco felt surreal. For the first time in years, my family was quiet, but it wasn't the comfortable quiet of indifference. It was tentative, cautious, like everyone was testing the waters of a new dynamic. Lucas and I kept in touch constantly. Every day, I reminded myself that the ordeal wasn't just about a car. It was about reclaiming my boundaries, demanding respect, and finally holding my parents accountable. Started one Friday evening. Dad was the first to arrive at the table, nervously adjusting his worn-out apron after helping on the side construction job to repay the home equity loan. Mom's hands were bare. Her diamond rings sold for restitution. Chloe sat quietly, a neatly folded blazer replacing the cocktail dress that had symbolized so much privilege and entitlement. And there I was, Eva Carter, eyes fixed on my parents, evaluating every move. Then Dad cleared his throat. I talked to Uncle Ray. He's selling his old pickup truck. I thought maybe if you were interested we could work on it together. Blinked. You want to restore a truck? He nodded, looking away like a kid asking permission. I know I never cared about your car passion before. But maybe you could teach me. My chest tightened. It wasn't just about the truck. It was Dad stepping into my world for the first time. I'd like that, I said. Mom, unusually quiet, pulled a gift bag from the sideboard. Eva, I made something for you. Inside was the framed title to Lucas's replica Corvette, along with a handwritten note. I promise never to interfere with what belongs to you again. Boundaries matter. I'm still learning. It was small, but it meant more than words could express. Mom was acknowledging her mistakes, publicly and permanently. Just as the tension began to ease, the front door opened. Chloe walked in, slightly breathless from work, her hair back to its natural brown, wearing a smart blazer. But it wasn't her outfit that caught my attention. It was the change in her demeanor. How was your day, Eva? She asked. The interest was genuine. No undercurrent of jealousy or competition. Busy, I replied. That Tokyo account, right? The one that got you the promotion? She asked, recalling details she had never cared about before. He nodded. For the first time, I saw pride in her tone. It was subtle, but it was real. Throughout dinner, I observed my family carefully. Little gestures now stood out. Dad asked Mom before serving extra food. Mom stopped herself from interrupting Chloe, and Chloe even offered to help clear the table. They were small things, seemingly insignificant, but they spoke volumes about a fundamental shift in our family dynamics. After dinner, Mom pulled me aside in the hallway. Eva, sorry. Not just for the Stingray, but for all the times I dismissed your passions, ignored your boundaries. I thought I was protecting you both, but I see now how wrong that was. I studied her face. Genuine remorse was written all over it. Forgiveness is a process, I said gently. But seeing you make real changes helps. That night, Lucas and I drove home in my 1969 Camaro SS. The familiar rumble of the engine was comforting. Different, though. It was no longer just a connection to my late grandfather. It had become a symbol of my resilience, my refusal to be diminished, and the beginning of a new chapter with my family. The next morning, I took the Camaro for a long drive along Lake Michigan. The wind rushed through my hair, the sun glinted off the polished hood, and I felt a peace I hadn't experienced in years. Every curve, every stretch of asphalt reminded me that standing up for yourself doesn't mean abandoning those you love. It means teaching them how to love you correctly. It was during that drive that I reflected on the journey. The betrayal, the legal negotiations, the family reckoning. The Stingray incident had forced my parents to confront their long-held favoritism and lack of respect. It forced Chloe to recognize her entitlement. And it forced me to embrace the strength I had always carried quietly inside me. Over the following weeks, the changes became consistent. A dad volunteered to take on side jobs to help repay the loan faster. A mom sold her jewelry and used the proceeds responsibly. Chloe got a real job and actually started budgeting for her own vacations. Lucas became more than just my partner in cars. He was my anchor during the storm, my strategist, and my closest confidant. Every action was a small but meaningful step toward rebuilding trust. The Stingray was returned, the apology letter notarized, and the family slowly began to understand the consequences of their actions. 1 month later, we sat around the dinner table again. It wasn't perfect. Old habits die hard, but it was better. The atmosphere was lighter, conversations flowed naturally, and everyone was more mindful. Lucas sat beside me as a sign of reconciliation, and even Chloe offered to help clean up without complaint. I realized something important. The car had been a catalyst, but the real change came from accountability. The lessons of boundaries, respect, and personal responsibility were finally sinking in. And while scars remained, there was hope. Hope that our family could rebuild on a foundation stronger than favoritism, neglect, or entitlement. As I looked at my family, I felt a wave of quiet pride. Not because everything was perfect, but because we were learning, growing, and, most importantly, trying. The 1969 Camaro SS purred under my hand as I shifted into gear, rolling down the driveway. The car wasn't just an object of metal and rubber anymore. It was my grandfather's legacy, my hard work, my boundaries, and my family's awakening. And for the first time in years I felt like maybe, just maybe, this disaster had been the beginning of something better.